You're listening to She's Got Drive podcast, the podcast that inspires women to be the driver in their own life through the life and stories of Black women with drive. And I'm your host, Shirley McAlpine. I'm a business consultant, an executive coach, and a leadership facilitator, working with people and organizations to live their lives by design and not default. Welcome back to another episode of She's Got Drive. What's been driving me this week? So this is a She's Got Drive short, where each week I share with you what is the main thing that's occupying my mind, my energy, my time, and my spirit. The thing that's inspiring me or the thing that's driving me crazy. So in this She's Got Drive short, I shared some of the strategies that I'm using. What are the things I'm doing about the things that's driving me? And the thing that's got, like, I'm using as a guide to like take me on to wherever I need to be. So if you want to find out how I take on and change my own life, well, actually sometimes cause a transformation in my life, then you've come to the right place. And this week, what's been driving me this week is a whole heap of Black girl magic, because I went to Essence Fest 25. And that is because Essence Festival was celebrating 25 years in New Orleans. It was the first time that I have been, and I went last weekend, and it is still sitting with me. It is totally driving me. I came back exhausted, tired, but more inspired than tired. Look, that's because I saw Common. Maybe that's my rap. Anywho, Essence was, as they say, everything. So what a space it was to be in, with so many Black women, so many Black people celebrating Blackness in all its glory. There was so much on offer to choose from that you couldn't even do a fraction of it. I mean, really, there was so many things happening in parallel that you just had to choose. So I only did one night of concerts. I know my limits. I know if I want to function the next day, I can only do that, because late I saw Missy Elliott, who was thebomb.com, and she was just so fantastic, celebrating 20 years of being in the business. She was just phenomenal, and she did some classics. So that was a great night. I focused some time on my first day at the fashion house and conversations, and then I also did I think it was on Friday or Saturday, conversations around that embraced love and activism, and that was because Common was closing his book tour on his book Let Love Have the Last Word, and so that conversation was about how love can be activism as a loving act. And when he talks about love, he loves love, let love have the last word. It's like not just a declaration, but a statement of purpose, where, so it was him, it was Congresswoman Omar, and they were interviewed by Angela Rye. It was inspiring. It was so inspiring. And so I've got his book. His book is actually risen to the top of my list of the summer book to read. I've got a number of them, but I'm just looking at the inside of his book, and when he says that he believes the phrase "let love have the last word" is not just a declaration, it's a statement of purpose, a daily promise. Love is the most powerful force on the planet, and ultimately the way you love determines who you are and how you experience life. Touching on God, self-love, partners, children, family, and community, Common explores the core tenets of love to help others understand what it means to receive, and most important, to give love. What a book. What a book to read. It was a phenomenal event. The event was organized by Color of Change. So if you don't know who they are, they're a campaign organization that was created in 2005 in the aftermath of Hurricane Katrina, in order to use online resources to strengthen the political voice of African Americans. So they did a number of amazing events out there in New Orleans. They do phenomenal work. So please check out Color of Change. And so it was really beautiful for me to kind of, spend some time in that kind of activist political conversation, which I care about deeply. And then also fashion and beauty. In fashion, I care about deeply too. I love myself with some fashion. So the mix of what was available was just great. So The other thing that came out of Essence, is I discovered some New Orleans culture. I went to the Black Woman's Brunch on the Sunday morning. There was a brass band there. The women started to stand up and dance with their white handkerchiefs. We were all given white handkerchiefs. I didn't understand why I was given a white handkerchief until that happened. And now I also understand why Louis Armstrong had a white handkerchief. There's this moment in the dance floor where people got up and they had their parasols with them. It was just this beautiful scene with all these parasols up. And it was just really morning of lifting each other up, of celebrating Black Girl Magic, celebrating our sisterhood and our womanhood. The Black Women Brunch is actually a national organization that's creating these events across the country. So if someone wants to host a Black Women Brunch, you can contact the organization and they support you setting that up locally. And it's a support and community based kind of commitment to create female communities and support. So a number of inspiring people, and a couple of who I hope will become guests on the She's Got Drive podcast in the future. So I'm working on that right now. So, and they're people who I wouldn't normally come across or wouldn't normally meet. So that's the beauty of it. You get to meet so many people and you have so many beautiful connections. And sometimes they're connections that will continue way beyond. And sometimes they're just moments and just powerful moments. But it's such a rich tapestry of events, people, activities. And some spaces are attack on the senses. I can't deny, where I'm like, oh my God, there's too much happening. But it's just it fills your cup. It really fills your cup. The other thing I want to share with you is that the added bonus for me was being there with my daughter Honor, who was also my social media assistant. Truly employed as my social media assistant because I need one. And she did a sterling job. She was fast and furious on it. That's when you got a teenager, it's a whole different ball game in terms of their ability to navigate what needs to happen. And what a wonderful thing to do together, to spend time together. And, if you have not spent time with your child on their own, if you have more than one, for a significant amount of time, I highly recommend it. To just be together. And when you have more than one, it's just less likely. But you cannot underestimate how wonderful it was, and to do it at Essence and to spend some time, and for her to experience Essence at such a young age was just wonderful. So of all the things, so you can hear my excitement and my, from this. So what I decided to do in this is focus in on one piece, and that's the fashion house staff experience and some takeaways from some of the people. So let me just kind of touch on some of the people that I met and some of my takeaways from some of the panel conversations that are broad life lessons for us to think about as Black people and as Black women. One of the people that there's an interview that I'm going to release next week or late in the week. And that was Christine Fraser from Treffle Design. And she's from the British Virgin Islands. And you're going to love that interview with her. It was in the moment interview. So it has a slightly different format from my normal interviews, but that's going to be coming out. Beyonce has worn her designs. So she's been doing some sterling work, beautiful work. So just I won't say any more about that because you're going to hear the interview in one of the episodes. The fashion house, just to say, it was the first time that Essence had done it, and it was a place where designers could show their designs. There were runway shows, there were panel discussions, as a way of us kind of really elevating the conversation around black communities and fashion, and what does it mean, and where we lead in fashion, and how, and just to empower the conversation around fashion in the Black community. I discovered new designer for me was Studio 189, where I met the designer Abrima. Actually bought one of her gorgeous skirts. And actually Studio 189 is co-founded by Abrima and Rosario Dawson. It's an artisan-produced financial lifestyle brand and a social enterprise. So it's won some prestigious awards already around sustainability. So its intention is to be an agent of change, social change through fashion. So sustainability is a big conversation in the fashion industry, and this a fairly new brand, a couple of years, 3 years old, 2 years old, something like that. So it was really wonderful to meet Abrima, and briefly met Rosario and Dawson, and just seeing their commitment. But this skirt is to die for, and I've already had plans of where I'm going to wear that. So there were two wonderful designers that I met, so Kirsten and Abrima. The other thing was the opportunity to sit in panels, in the panel discussion. And I sat in the panel discussion of two women. There were two separate panel discussions, but two women who were really pioneers in street style. And so the world of street style and hip hop fashion that we experience in the day to day now was unheard of, was urban and was outside of the mainstream 20 some years ago. And the two women that I sat in to observe their panel, and that was April Walker and Misa Hylton, was just so, I felt so privileged to be able to see them and meet them, because, back in the day, hearing about their work and seeing what they're doing, way back, even in the UK, really seeing the different styles and what's coming out on the videos and stuff like that, and the things that we were copying back then and were influenced by, and to know that they really blazed the trail for Black stylists, for hip hop fashion, for urban fashion. And now it's just part of the mainstream, and you've got lots of people kind of copying their style. April, so she one of the things that she talked about was how she found her calling around fashion when she walked into Dapper Dan's in Harlem. She's a Brooklynite. So when that happened in the 80s, and then that was the thing that sourced her, was a catalyst for her start in fashion in effect. And that her brand was where she ended up having Shaggy as a customer, but became a stylist to the likes of Biggie, Queen Latifah, LL Cool J, Run DMC, and Tupac. She really, as I said, she really led the way around hip hop fashion. One of the things there were many things that she shared around business, around having some business acumen, around, but what was striking is at some point she walked away from her business through saving herself, really, around self-care. And she's written a book called Get Your Ass Off the Couch. And in that, it's really about how we remain agile in our thoughts, mind and body and soul fitness. So fitness not just being our physical fitness, but she speaks about fitness being around our mind, our body and our soul, and the need for us to focus on our self-care, to be good to ourselves. That when we look at self-care, it's an internal process as well as an external process that keeps us centered in the one constant thing that we can absolutely count on is change is always happening. As you know, given what's happening with me, that really stood out for me. So I'm going to say that again, that fitness is our thoughts, our mind, our body, and our soul. And that our job is to focus on our self-care and to be good to ourselves. And it's an internal and an external process. So that's sitting with me. I'm looking at, so in my self-care strategy, I've been speaking about, obviously the physical side I've been focusing on, and what I'm putting in my body in terms of food, supplements, blah, 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 as well as like the strength training and the running. But, the other pieces, if I look at that definition, mind, body, soul, and our thoughts, how am I looking at that? How am I creating my strategy? So I wanted to share that with you. I'm interested to find out more about her and her book as well. The other pioneer that I listened to was Misa Hylton. Now, she said she was always creative, right? And then found herself basically in the right place at the right time. And she spoke about one of the lessons here is when talent meets opportunity. So we all have a talent. Our job is to discover what that talent is first and foremost. But the other piece is opportunities arise, and are we ready to take it when they show up? So I know that Viola Davis talks about, when there's no shortage of talent out there, but you got to have opportunity as well. And sometimes we have to create those opportunities. Sometimes the opportunities are created for us. But when it shows up, are we ready to receive the opportunity? Are we ready to take advantage of the opportunity? So for her, she had an opportunity to work on a music video with Jodeci. And at that time, she was hanging out Uptown Records, which was, she said, was kind of like an urban Motown. And she felt that one of the things that she felt was that she had to, when she looks back, she had to be someone who paved the way and to create a place for us, because that wasn't happening. So she talked really powerfully about when in the absence of a mentor or a guide, then you have to be the one who just gets on with it really and paves that way. So many of us are in spaces where there isn't another person. And so are you someone who can pave that way? Are you someone who's actively doing that? She talked powerfully about balancing creativity and business and the importance of that. So many of us, if you've got talent and creativity and you want to start your own entity, or you want to go into business around that thing that you have a talent, it is on you to educate yourself around how that business functions, what is needed, and how to not just survive it, but to thrive in it. So looking at every situation as an opportunity to grow and take yourself to the next level. So that's the other point. So that was another point that stood out, like the importance of the two sides. And many people start businesses without really getting fully immersed in what does that mean. And they focus solely on the creativity. So the other thing that she talked about, a thing that stood out for me, is staying true and consistent. That when we have a vision for ourselves about what we want to do, who do we want to be, we've got some purpose, is to stay true to that purpose and to stay consistent to that. It's when we waver that we're going to get off our path, So if you want to produce results in the thing that you care about, where it's your purpose, you stay consistent and you stay true. The other lesson was, or what I want to say was, one of the things that I heard it like her wish for us, is that as black people, to embrace everything about us, because we're so rich in culture, we're rich in fashion, we're rich in art, and we have various expressions, to really own that and really embrace it. There's so many ways that we express ourselves as Black people. So to honor that and to support each other in honoring that, and to not shy away from that, to just really embrace it. So that was the one thing I took away as a wish for us as a Black community. And the last couple ones were, when we have a seat at the table, basically, we're holding positions of power, it is on us to pull other people through that look like us. It is on us. Now, this is a conversation that comes up again and again. The only way that we are going to increase the number of people who look like us is when we're in those places and those positions of power, we engage people who look like us and we pull them into the organization. We mentor them. We guide them, we support them in being their best selves wherever they start on that journey, and we have intention around that and we put effort around that, because it's on us to look out for and increase the number of people who represent us in the various organizations and various fields. And the last thing that I would say that I took away from the rich conversation that she was having was, and she had it with Tanisha Ford, by the way, was believe in yourself, sell your ideas, and be courageous. Believe in yourself, sell your ideas, and be courageous. And it sounds like so many times, you know, we have self-doubt, and then it stops us from really promoting the thing that we know that, and whatever that idea is, wherever you work, you know, whether you're sitting in corporate, or whether you're sitting in a foundation, or whether you're sitting in a small organization, like rather than sit on your ideas, like really promote those things that you're good at, promote your ideas, your creativity, and be courageous, because it takes courage to take that stand for yourself. So those were the things that I took away from Misa Hylton. I took them away from the April Walker panel discussion as well. And that's the kind of my experience of Essence, which was so affirming as a Black woman, which was so inspiring. And let me tell you, I've never seen so many beautiful, outstanding hairstyles in one city as I did last weekend. So I am excited to be going back next year. I will be going back, but the experience is still resonating with me. I wanted to share a bit of that experience with you to say that you could have some insights and some takeaways from it. You may want to join me in reading Common's book this summer, because that's one of the things that's on my list to do. Yeah, so that's been driving me. I'm wondering what's been driving you this week. And given what's been driving you this week, what are you doing about it? So this is one of the things that's been inspiring me. So it's a bit different from some of the other things that come up, that may come up in what's been driving me. But what it is doing is influencing how I'm moving forward. Even if I just take that last sell my ideas, believe in myself, and be courageous. Have a great week. If you want to connect with me online, you can follow me on Instagram, and you can contact me at Shirley McAlpine. You can also contact me on my website, shirleymcalpine.com, or through Facebook page. If you want to subscribe to the She's Got Drive podcast, I would love that, because that means you automatically get downloads of the new episodes as they are released. If you're feeling it, head over to iTunes and give us a review too. She's Got Drive is produced by Cassandra Vortolina. The music is by the awesome all-female band Blonde. The song is called Circles. Until next time, thank you for listening. Go well and stay well.